Before you continue watching, try this. Look around your room for 5 seconds. Now tell me, what color was the last thing you looked at? Funny how your brain notices something and completely ignores others, right? That is one of the many things that experimental psychology helps us to understand. So let's simplify experimental psychology in the easiest way possible. Experimental psychology focuses on using scientific experiments to understand how people think, how they feel, how they learn, how they remember things, and how they behave. And before you think experimental psychology is difficult or scientific or too scientific for you, relax. By the end of this video, you realize it's simply the science of understanding why humans think and behave the way they do. What is an experiment? An experiment is a scientific method that is used to test an idea, a prediction, or hypothesis by observing what happens under controlled conditions. One of the things that you need to note about an experiment is that it happens under a controlled condition or a controlled environment. And what that means is that the environment is under control, right? An external factor, otherwise called an extraneous variable, cannot infiltrate the process of conducting an experiment. In simple terms, when psychologists want to know why something happens, they don't just assume, they test it. So if you want to know why people spend much time on social media, they don't assume it's because of the interesting news on social media. They conduct a test, and that is an experiment. Another example is, if a student studies with music, will they remember the information better? Well, for us to know that, we are going to have to test the hypothesis. By the way, an hypothesis is a testable statement. So the example I gave, the statement I gave some seconds ago is an hypothesis. I'll take it again. Our hypothesis for this experiment is, if a student studies with music, will they remember the information better? To test this, we're going to create a group of two, Group A and Group B. And then we'll let the first student in the first group study with music and let the student in the second group studies without music. Then we'll compare their performance, we'll compare the level of their understanding. This process of testing and comparing is called an experiment. You see, it's very easy, right? You can also say that an experiment is a carefully planned test that is used to discover cause and effect. What that means is, we want to test or want to prove or want to discover, want to understand if an action will affect the other. If studying with music will affect performance, or if studying with music will lead to better understanding. So studying with music is a cause, and the result of that, whether a better performance or whether a better understanding or not, is the effect. It is important to know that the main aim of an experiment is to ensure that there are no confounds that can infiltrate or affect the results of the test.